If you actually want to grow on YouTube Shorts, we're going to be talking about strategies and metrics that matter. Roberto, I'm super excited for this one because we get a lot of questions. I've been doing YouTube Shorts for 2 years now and I'm not seeing growth, or I'm trying the short split strategy, but I haven't figured out what is and isn't working. What do I do? So I think this is a really good opportunity to talk about this. So, Roberto, just off the top, what do you think is a metric that actually matters when it comes to YouTube Shorts and YouTube Shorts based growth?
Viewed versus swipe away probably matters much, much more than the average duration viewed. So for the ratio of stayed to watch versus swiped away, your target is 80 to 85% there. Now, you can still succeed without that, but that's where the growth explosion that people are hoping for, wishing for, would want
Hmm.
actually exist. And from working with multiple creators, especially with the short split strategy, it's giving me like thousands upon thousands of pieces of data to be able to confirm this by exporting it, dragging it into AI and confirming the pattern. So that's been pretty consistent in terms of what overperforms is things that can do that. Now, that's not a guarantee. If the thing that you're covering doesn't have a large audience to begin with, then that's not a
Sure.
guarantee. So that's what I've been seeing, and not just with gaming, but primarily with gaming. But if it works for that, as saturated as that is, as competitive it is, then you can translate that to other things. I wanted to prove the use case on entertainment and gaming because a lot of people do it. It's a huge market. It's one of the most competitive, most saturated, most aggressive markets with the lowest barrier to entry in YouTube. So if you can crack that, usually you can crack the other things. I've seen similar patterns on education and lifestyle creators that I've worked with as well. And that seems to be, excuse me, the recurring pattern.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And especially that metric there, swipe away is very important. And I think a lot of people take advice from full videos, which is, average view duration or average view percentage, and they try to apply them to shorts. And while they are there in ways, there are different metrics for different platforms and different ways that YouTube
Absolutely.
counts it. Someone asked in a live stream that we did, it was in the comments, and I wanted to get your take on it. They're like, so I know that YouTube has engaged views, which is how they used to count, views before they matched what TikTok and Instagram are doing. Do I still need to focus on engaged views when it comes to shorts?
From a practical standpoint, engaged views count towards your overall public view count.
Hmm.
Or rather, let me put it differently. The general views count towards your public view count. The engaged views are what you're paid for. So engaged views are what you're paid for in revenue. So from that standpoint, and YouTube counting it more similarly to TikTok for the public views, the regular views.
Hmm.
Think of that as the public facing quote unquote vanity metric, but that matters for your overall status. It matters for brand deals, so on and so forth there. And it's what the public sees to say, okay, this thing is popping, this thing is popular. The back end metric of engaged views is for you to say, okay, and this is how we used to count them. And here's the difference. But also, we pay you for these views. And
Hmm.
by the way, even with your long form videos, not all of your long form videos do you get paid for either. In the advanced desktop analytics, and most creators' big problem is, Andrew, that they use only their phone, they're mobile first, mobile only creators. They only Tech Studio app. If they act like a power user and they use the advanced analytics, excuse me one second, Andrew.
All good. All good. So, yeah, what Roberto is saying is there's a lot of value when it comes to checking not only YouTube Studio on your mobile, but also on the desktop, right? Because if you don't know, similar to Opus Clip, where there is a lot of functionality with the Opus Clip mobile app, which, if you aren't aware, is out now for iPhone, Android coming soon, they tell us. And so there's a lot more power in the Opus Clip desktop app. So, similarly, what we see with YouTube Studio is that yes, it's very powerful on the go and it's good for quick needs, but what you were saying, there's a lot more power in the desktop version there, Roberto.
Yeah, even in your long form, which people compare shorts to way too much instead of just realizing and treating it like a different format. Same thing for live streaming. In the
Hmm.
advanced mode, if you actually look at a thing called estimated monetized playbacks, you'd
Hmm.
realize that even on YouTube, you're not paid for every long form view that you get. You're only paid for the ones that ads showed on. And so you could think of those as quote unquote engaged views on long form. So those are the estimated monetized playback views. And you'll find many creators that I've worked with have found, oh, wait a minute, not all of my views am I getting paid for. I'm only getting paid for 60% of them, or oh, I'm only getting paid for 30% of them because I have a big ad block audience or something like that.
Hmm. I think that's something that a lot of creators can get guilty of is they assume like just because you have views there doesn't mean all views are being monetized, which is
Correct.
something that is one of those things where how can you tell on shorts specifically because we got this question, how do I know if a short is doing well in monetization other than just the obvious it's making money? Like is there certain shorts that do better when it comes to monetization? Is it more genre or is it short focus? They're kind of curious on like what shorts do best monetarily.
The ones that people watch. It's really down to that for the shorts because it's completely algorithmic driven, it's feed driven. People don't have to click on it. So it's the ones that people actually watch. So you don't have to really overthink this at all. Don't overthink this. Don't over optimize this. This is literally just down to what you're getting paid for. Like put the money in the till. Put the money in the till is or the money's going in the till is kind of the positive and money equivalent of put the fries in the bag. It's like, put the money in the register.
I do think there is a definite thing where people overthink the process, especially when it comes to creating content in general. One person earlier in a different live stream I was watching said, how do I get YouTube to understand I want to do two different audiences? Like I want to do both fishing and music was an example I saw,
The
not
answer
on
is
that
you don't.
channel.
The answer is you don't.
So I'm
The answer
aware
is you
of
don't.
this, but a lot of people still think that they can do multiple things on multiple channels. And if there's enough overlap and you are creative enough, you can, and there's still an ability for growth, but it'll be slower. So
It's a
is it
lost cause, Andrew. Stop trying to make them feel better. It's a lost cause. You won't be able to sit there and have a fishing and lure shop that's also a nightclub. It doesn't work in the real world. People need to grow up and realize that the internet is not some fantasy land designed to make their dreams come true. It's an extension of the real world, and real
oh,
world rules logically at least still apply here. And just because some unicorn somewhere pulled it off doesn't mean that you're going to. So it's like, so let's just like, I just want to be real with them. I appreciate you being incredibly generous and kind to people. I'm going to be their drill sergeant and I'm going to tell them like shape up, soldier. Like you got to pick something.
and I
Commit
will
to
counter.
something or people don't commit to you. Commit to something and then people will commit to you. If you're all over the place, you're going to have a very big problem pleasing everybody. There's not a point in trying to do so.
And I'll say this, buffets are fun, but not every restaurant needs to be a buffet, and not every restaurant can be a buffet. And even though buffets are fun, their draw is that you get a little bit of everything. And what they tend to find, especially as we are, more American based, is that buffets have like a really dedicated core audience that come back, but they'll sometimes struggle to attract new. Like a channel doing too many things at once, you might have a very dedicated core following, and if that's all you want, that's fine, but the problem comes when the metrics you want is growth, and then you're fighting two different genres you're serving. So,
If you want growth, do growth things. If you just want to, I want to express, be myself and be all my things, then don't complain about the fact that you're not attractive to everybody because that's not reasonable because people are allowed to have preferences. And if you're going to do things outside of most people's preferences, which most people don't like someone being all over the place, it doesn't present as focused, committed, serious. Then all right, for prime example, you're not going to be able to do music and fishing stuff and attract more fishermen. It's just not going
hmm.
to realistically happen. And they're not there because of your creativity. They're there for the utility of we like fishing. That's what you are to them in that context. I understand you're passionate about something, but the audience doesn't have to care that you have multifaceted passions. That's not the audience's problem because the audience isn't there if the audience may not have multifaceted passions. So the thing is, you have to do what's attractive to the people you want to attract. And the thing is, if you're not going to do that, you can't complain about the result.
No, agreed. We have a question in chat. What is considered growth when it comes to a YouTube channel?
Green line go up. Um, but no, growth is so we know what regression feels like. We know what stagnation feels like. So we know, all right, so let's look at it this way. We know stagnation is when nothing changes, and we know regression is when things get worse. So regression is you're losing subscribers and not replacing them. That's churn, right? We typically would call that churn. We know stagnation is when you are just getting the same amount of views you always get. We know that regression is when you're getting less views every week than you normally would get on average, less every upload, less over time, less over 90 days, and so on and so forth, less the previous year versus this year. So we know that that's the opposite of growth. So what is growth? Growth is when you are getting more views month over month or year over year total in whichever formats you're doing them in. Growth is when your audience is growing, your monthly audience number is increasing. That's growth. Your subscriber count in terms of people who commit and vouch for you publicly, that's growth. We know that growth is when you're making more money. We know that's for sure. We know that stagnation is when you're making the same amount. And we know that regression is when you're making less money in your bank account. So those things, so every one of those things has its own growth metric. And it's as simple as line go up.
So he has a follow up. Is it like sub growth or views increase? That's why I asked.
All of them, all of them. And you're optimizing for them differently. Optimizing for view growth doesn't necessarily immediately optimize for sub growth. It depends on what your conversion ratio is there. If you wanted to increase subs, even if you weren't getting more views, you would change how you do the call to action for subscribers.
Hmm.
That's one example. With live streaming, you would get more subs even if you're not getting more views on average by just making your chat subscribers only mode, because that's a growth tactic that grows subscribers specifically. But if you wanted to increase views, you use a completely different strategy because it's a different mechanism. If you want to increase money, that is a completely different mechanism. So every stat that you want to increase has its own mechanism, similar to if you were working out, there are exercises that grow your arms, and that is a different set of exercises that grow your legs, and there are a different set of exercises that give you definition, and so on and so forth. So what it
I like what you're
is
saying there. Can
yeah,
I ask you a question?
sure.
You know, sometimes when you're going back to that fitness analogy, you can be training the wrong way. You can be doing curls with bad form. Pardon me. So you can do like curls with the forms wrong. What is a
Yes.
metric that could look like you're doing the right thing, but is actually kind of harming you? Can you think of anything like that? Because I have a few, but
Yes.
I'm curious your thoughts.
You could think that you're improving your retention overall and that you should be getting more views because you're just looking at your average view duration number increasing and saying, well, I have a 60 or 80% average view duration. Why am I not doing as well? And oh, I retained a bunch of my audience at the beginning of the video. But yes, but was there a large or harsh drop off? How many people completed the
Mm,
video? Completion rate is probably more significant to YouTube than abandonment rate, because think about it like this: the mechanism to get people to click is different than to get them to stay and watch, is
true.
different than the mechanism to get them to uh, complete and repeat.
Complete and
completely
repeat.
di- yeah, it's a different mechanism. So if I was gonna I'm making a t-shirt right now, I'm designing a t-shirt that goes click watch repeat, and I'm gonna sell it to creators click watch repeat. um like live die repeat, like
Yeah, yeah.
from Edge of Tomorrow, or as they called it in Japan, All I Need Is Kill is the original manga that the movie with Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise was made from. It was a manga
Very
called All I
true.
Need Is Kill, translated then to American live Edge of Tomorrow, with the poster saying live die repeat. So I went click, watch, repeat, because that's what you want people to do. That's the actual mechanism of the YouTube algorithm. Can I get if you're doing long form or live streams, can I get them to click? Can I get them to watch, hopefully to the end? And can I get them to the repeat? Ideally, when they watch, I want them to watch it and complete. Then I want them to say, I value this, I want more. So I want them to repeat view. I want them to watch other content. That is the mechanism you're optimizing for. Now, if you get, oh, people didn't drop off in the first 30, 60, 90 seconds, that's great. But did you get a large contingent of them to watch to the end?
Mm,
Even with videos where me or any of my students or clients in the Awesome Creator Academy Pro group, or anybody I've done one-on-one coaching with, or anyone I've helped out, whenever I see that, okay, wow, we lost 30% of the viewership in the first 30 seconds or 90 seconds, or whatever. Oh, but we got 30, 40% of overall views to complete the video and get to the last 30 seconds of the video. That's why that's almost all of my videos that have 100,000 views or more did something similar to that. Or at
Mm.
least if it didn't get them to the end, it got them to a significantly longer duration of video view on YouTube, which means YouTube didn't have to find them another video. YouTube didn't have to lose them in a session. YouTube didn't have to jump through all these hoops to keep them on their platform and away from their competitors. That's a positive signal to YouTube. In theory, for long form, they've said that the average view duration in general across the platform for long form videos is pretty close to like 3 minutes and 30 seconds. It's not that you need to make longer videos, but a lot of the YouTubers that make videos that are now the TV watching audience, the syndication audience, they're following the patterns of television. It's not that you can't make shorter videos. My 2 minute tutorials do very good, Andrew. They
Yeah,
do
same.
they do excellently. Like the green screen video I did, Adobe Premiere Pro green screen. It's up to like 440,000 views now, and keeps growing by like 300, 500 a day, right? So that video um, is short, but it's effective. And it has an average view duration of over 60%, which it'd be
Nice.
nice if it was better for how short it is, but it is what it is, but it does well. And YouTube still keeps recommending it, even 3 years after I uploaded it. And I use this point, though, that conversely, I have a live stream replay that has over 800,000 views, and it's 3 hours and 33 minutes long. And YouTube recommended it for the longest time for anyone trying to do merchandise and t-shirts and sell those as a content creator. And it's done very well. Made a lot of money on that. Made like $11,000 in AdSense, all on the replays. $20 on the live stream itself. And the recommendation engine on YouTube knows that if I recommend that video to someone and they click and they watch it, their average view session time is 45 minutes, Andrew. So if it's 45 minutes, that means that YouTube it doesn't have to work as hard because it doesn't have to find 20 minutes to fill people, sorry, 20 videos. It doesn't have to find 20 videos to fill people's attention. It only needed one. So if you
Very
think
true.
about it from that perspective, and this is long form, there's another different series of mechanisms for this for short form. But in general, I just want creators to think about this, that they could be misinterpreting their data. They could be optimizing for the wrong things. It's not about how many people go to your movie in a movie theater. It's, did they walk out before the end of the film? Did they get to the credits? Did you make a film so good that they stayed to the end of the credits?
More than fair. And I think, a lot of times we talk about metrics that help, but people don't realize, like, if your form's not good, if you're not focusing on looking at it the right way, you could also be harming yourself. And so we have a couple more questions. I want to give some time here. This one comes from Kathy Fit. So I tried to make an Opus clip from my recent live stream, but it focused mainly on her guest Beanie speaking instead of them. Any advice? So I would say you should definitely, if you're using Opus Clip, depends what version. I'm assuming you either have a free trial. If you're paying for it, you can use Clip Anything, and you can prompt it to say, hey, when I am speaking, I am this person, and it uses a transcript to know who is who. Then you should say focus on that person. If it is focusing on your guest, what is it focusing on? What direction did you give it? That's kind of what pops into my head. Roberto, what would you say to them if it's focusing on the guests more than them?
I would assume that they use the automatic and they didn't use the clip anything prompt. And what I would do is I'd go back and I would prompt it to clip interactions between me and my guest, where we're both talking back and forth. Therefore, it knows to get stuff that's more interactive instead of just my guest keep making an excellent point. I have things like that in my clips. There are some places where I want that, maybe not for my YouTube shorts, but for my other stuff, for Instagram, where I can tag that person, for LinkedIn, where I can tag that person. Like I brought Jay Klaus on my podcast. He's one of my favorite interviews. Same thing for Justin Moore. There may be things where it benefits me, not on my YouTube shorts, but on my other platforms, to post this great point they made in our interview and let them talk and tag them. And then I'm the curator. I brought that to my audience. But if you're doing a entertainment live stream podcast and you want your audience invested in you rather than your guest, then you're going to have to prompt the Clip Anything tool to understand that and to use it in that way instead of
And
just relying on the auto.
no, 100%. Also, you have to understand, Opus Clip is built on understanding what the platforms want and finding those moments that would make the most sense for them. So if your guest is showing up a little bit more than you, it can also be a reflection that maybe you also need to consider, what am I saying in stream? What is my guest saying that's getting it to be picked up a little bit more? Am I adding as much value as the guest, right? And sometimes it can be a reflection of how we are in stream. Like in this stream, it's going to be more focused on Roberto because I'm mostly here to ask questions and things like that. But if this was a mutual stream, right, and Roberto and I did this every week where the focus was to grow both of us, then I would maybe need to take a moment here and go, huh, why is Roberto getting featured more than me? What can I do to add more value, not only to the viewers, but myself and the experience, right? And it's not a bad thing. But I see that you said you're using the free version. There are free trials. You should definitely give it a shot and try out the, clip anything feature. It's really good. And then to what Roberto said, look for moments. Prompted to say, look for conversations between the guests. I think that's really great advice, Roberto.
Yeah. We have a question here about whether subscribers matter.
I see that, and it comes from a little bit earlier. Let me make sure. I see many people making videos, subs don't matter anymore. I get what they mean, but many people take it wrong.
People take it wrong in the sense that they then get angry and say, well, then why does YouTube make me get subscribers to get monetization? Or why does
Mhm.
YouTube gatekeep these features based on subscribers? So objectively, subs matter for that. What people mean and what people get wrong in terms of subs don't matter is subs do not give you an advantage in the algorithm anymore. When YouTube first started and the culture of YouTube that built everyone's favorite YouTubers, Markiplier, PewDiePie, Jacksepticeye, so on and so forth, subscribership affected distribution. YouTube, up until I think 2015, I want to say, actually had a dedicated part of your YouTube homepage that always would show you videos from channels you are subscribed to. It was a fixture of the YouTube homepage right up until about, I would say, 2015. I may do a video about this with the Wayback Machine and capture this to show people straight up that this is how YouTube used to be. And this is where most YouTube advice was built when it comes to big YouTubers, not necessarily YouTube advice people like me, but when big YouTubers would talk about YouTube to their audience, because that's who people listen to. When PewDiePie would talk, when Philip DeFranco would talk, when Linus would talk, when Markiplier would talk, and so on and so forth. Almost all the advice you've ever heard from anyone with 10 million subscribers or more is outdated and is wrong. And I'm saying that straight up as someone, oh, how can you say that without a million subscribers? I coach people to a million subscribers now in the new world of YouTube rather than the old world of YouTube. And I've been
No,
in the trenches with
that's
this and
real.
I've looked at the real data. More importantly, I literally am in LA right now talking with Andrew because I'm literally 5 minutes away from YouTube headquarters where I spoke yesterday. So I deal directly with the people at the platform all the time. I'm getting my information from the people who build YouTube instead of the people who blew up on YouTube. And so when I say this, I mean, take this very seriously. The old YouTube, like there's YouTube has been built on these generational things. Like if you're a Pokemon player, you kind of get this idea that the new Pokemon is not the old Pokemon. Even the typing of certain Pokemon changed between the early old days on the Game Boy versus today on the new Nintendo consoles. Like, so there's things like dual typing, there's these rules, there's these things. It's non-compatible even. YouTube has changed. YouTube is not even the same as it was in 2025, Andrew. They literally
No,
shrunk the homepage in a way, and now you have huge thumbnails, but you have 60% less real estate on the YouTube homepage to stand out um, on desktop. That's a big
true.
deal. YouTube television, connected TVs was never as big or prominent as it has been in the last 12 to 18 months.
I mean,
You know,
YouTube's number one on TV. They said it themselves. According to Nielsen, they are number one in the last 3 years.
live streaming has become so huge on YouTube that 30% of logged in users every single day, not even every single month, daily users, 30% of users watch live content on YouTube every single day. Shorts get 200 billion views a day, and YouTube is not the same as it was in 2020. So everything that the thesis of the advice of the biggest YouTubers, and again, it's not to shame or call them out or just say that they don't know what they're talking about, is to say, just remember, a lot of these people are nostalgic for the way things were when they were growing their most. A lot of them, as big as they are, they're not necessarily growing now, not at the rate that they did in their biggest growth. They're maintaining, they're chugging along, sure. And again, oh, who am I to say this? But I'm saying this as someone analyzing it and saying, look, here's the thing. And I'm also communicating what I've been told by people who work on the product itself. And what we found is this: YouTube stopped caring about using subscribers as a distribution method because it couldn't trust the users to preference stuff they were subscribed to versus stuff that was interesting to them,
Hmm.
because people subscribe to someone because they want to support them after watching one, two, or three videos, but they don't watch the whole catalog of their content, and they find new things, new shiny objects, but also the way they consume content changes. The way they behave on their laptop is not the way they behave on their phone, is not the way they behave on their TV. YouTube is a
True.
completely different experience and recommends me different content based on which device I'm using, Andrew.
It's
It's
true.
like it's that sophisticated. I've seen it. It gives me it based on which account I log into. It gives me a different viewer experience based on what account I log into. So YouTube back in back in the olden days of YouTube, it relied on subscribers to show people content they said they wanted because they didn't have a really sophisticated machine learning back then. They didn't have these AI tools as sophisticated as they do now. So they had to learn the behavior, they had to learn what your preferences were, they had to learn your watch history. And YouTube shifted big time 10 years ago. They changed the entire YouTube homepage, Andrew, and they eliminated the part of your YouTube homepage that had a dedicated section for your subscribers. So it stopped mattering in 2015 because they stopped giving you an advantage with that. If anybody
Hmm.
watching this wants to understand what I'm talking about, go into your own YouTube analytics, go into advanced mode, pull up your lifetime views, and you will find that less than 20% of your views in your entire life ever came from your subscribers.
True.
And
And I
it's real.
think,
I've seen it. I've seen it with almost all my clients.
no, I've seen it a lot of the time. And YouTube has come out and said, like, on average, it's anywhere between 0.5 to 5% of your subscribers watch regularly. And that is a small percentage. And I often say it
By the
like
way, you
this.
want the realist version of that? Go look at PewDiePie's numbers. He has 115 million subscribers. And I'm not hating on the guy at all. I like the guy. But he averages, now that he's just doing wholesome content, not doing anything for the algorithm, not doing anything for the broad audience. It's just like, hey, you love me or you don't. And he gets somewhere between 500,000 to 5 million on average. And it's usually closer to 1.5 million. And he has 100 million subscribers. That should tell you everything you need to know, that subscribers do not matter for reach on YouTube anymore. And it hasn't for a decade.
Yeah.
There's no advantage in being a big YouTuber in that way,
And I
not
also
for the
think
algorithm.
that, like, when you talk about outdated advice, there's a lot of people that I've had to talk to where they're like, well, a friend who grew up on YouTube in 2016, they were giving me some really good advice, and I had to tell them, like, it's not 2016 anymore. That's a decade old advice. Would you take a decade old advice on this or this? And their answer was no. And it's
Would you take
interesting.
a decade old advice on career, on the stock market, on finance, on dealing with your children now that there are AI agents out there?
Right. And I think it's interesting because one of the things that I know you do, I do, is making sure you're constantly refreshing your information. People are like, oh, why do you still talk about how to grow on YouTube? Because it constantly changes. It isn't the same advice we were giving in 2016. It's not going to be the same advice we give in 2026. And I think that's an important distinction. We do
Yeah, the
have a
only thing is
question.
the fundamentals. The only thing that we don't like change on is the fundamentals. If the fundamentals
Correct.
were profoundly changed, we would. Some of them have because we have options
Yeah.
we didn't have before with shorts, and shorts is not the same shorts as 2020. It's just not.
No.
It's a completely different game. Live streaming is different now. We can now talk about live streaming completely differently to the cows come home because now there's vertical streaming and now there's vertical and horizontal simulcasting. So that's completely different. We just got a new monetization method. I just activated it last week with the gems. That didn't exist before. That's a new monetization method. They just announced yesterday while I was giving the workshop that they lowered for YouTube Shopping
5,000
affiliate
subs.
from 10,000 now to 5,000 subs. That's completely different. It changes the entire context of YouTube Shopping and YouTube Shopping affiliate and making money on YouTube. The fact that there are vendors now that give 40% commissions on YouTube Shopping affiliate changes the entire conversation of making money on YouTube. YouTube announced over 30 changes since October, and no one's covered all of them. So it's just radically different.
No, and I want to talk about a couple of things we have here. And this comes from someone who's new. I'm quite new to YouTube. How many people watching will you start to earn money? And this is important whether you're starting with shorts or long form. This is a metric people want to know. How many, how many people watching will you need to start earning money?
Are they talking with ads or are they talking in general?
Let's do both. Let's
Because it
start with
matters.
ads and then let's do general or whichever you think makes more sense to tackle.
If you're doing long form and it's ads, you get paid per thousand views. It's what's called an RPM, revenue per thousand views. Advertisers pay a CPM, what they cost per thousand views to advertise. The normal RPM for most YouTubers across most niches is between $2 and $5. So you should optimize around that unless you're going to do finance, business, career, or software, in which case now you're talking anywhere from $8 to $30 RPMs. If you're not qualified, don't go into those niches just to get a higher RPM. The RPMs are also canceled out by the fact that less people watch that content. um Arguably right now the thing that gets the most views with the solid RPM now, it was not this way 5 or 10 years ago, is news, politics, and commentary now,
Yeah.
with a baseline of $5 to $8 RPMs. If they could tie it to finance like some of my clients do, some of them tied to finance, and they get to do daily content that has 12 to $20 RPMs because they get to tie it to finance. Example of this is Steve Ram Real Estate. Well, he was Ram Real Estate, and then he during the pandemic, he pivoted into content that had a crossover between finance and government allocations with the stimulus content. I told him to then address student loans and taxes, and then that evolved into great. You can deal with anything that intersects with the government and money, and people will listen to you, Steve. So he's at like, I think, 700,000 subscribers now. I think he's openly said that he does well over 20 to 30,000 in AdSense a month alone,
Wow.
publicly before. So like what I'll say is, yeah, me and Steve did like I think we did like 6 coaching calls during the pandemic, which is one of the like coaching packages I offer is like 6 calls. Some people do a 12 call package, some people just do 1 call. So we worked together during the pandemic. He's killing it now. But he has a weird niche, but he's built the credibility in that niche since the pandemic. So he has the chops for it, so to speak, and he had a background in real estate, so he understood finance and the implications of the tax code and the government better than most people. From being a real estate agent, he understood money better than most people. So he had all those advantages going into this, plus the startup capital. And what I'd say is that's different. So in terms of making money, someone like Dave Motley, like he is like the king of Omaha real estate. He doesn't need his channel to make a bunch of views because he's using it as a business that drives high-end real estate sales, and he's making more money than he's ever made as a real estate agent because of a YouTube channel that doesn't even have 10,000 subscribers. I think I've done 4 calls with Dave, and hopefully more in the future. So um, when it comes to YouTube, most people get obsessed and they think about AdSense. If you want to make money with AdSense, here's the harsh truth. You're gonna probably want to make real money, probably gonna want to get at least 100,000 to 1 million views a month, and it depends on your niche.
Sure.
Andrew, if I get 500,000 long form views on my videos, I might make more money than a gamer that gets 2 to 5 million views on their content because YouTube will
Correct.
pay us differently. And someone say, well, why is it? Why? How's that fair? YouTube pays differently for different content or niches. It's all content. Why don't they run the ads the same? Because a gamer doesn't have the same budget. A 22-year-old gamer does not have the same budget as a 40-year-old video producer or 40-year-old entrepreneur or a 40-year-old retired military veteran. A 22-year-old gamer doesn't have the same budget, so they don't see the same ads. They don't get the same thing. A camera person is a different buyer for sure and has a bigger disposable income than someone buying video games. It's just what it
100%.
is. So you can sell different things. Young people like 12 to 22 are going to watch this gaming content. Yeah, sure, there'll be some 30, 40-year-old gamers out there. Shout out to the old head gamers, but but let's be real, most of it's going to be 12 to 22-year-olds. It's going to be middle school to college graduates. You're going to have to sell them things in their budget with regard to affordability. Money skews upward with age. So someone who has an older, more affluent audience that's in America, will make infinitely more money than someone who has a younger, less affluent audience, or an audience that's overseas in a region where affordability is much worse than it is in America, and where there's also less advertising, and where they don't speak as much English. So
Yeah.
the geography, language preference, age, and affluence are all the factors that decide how much ad money you make. But even on your business back end, unless you reach a bajillion people, you make more money if you have a business that you're using YouTube to promote that has high end products where you're making 500 to 5,000 when you convert one out of 10,000 people to being a customer, versus if you even converted one out of 100 people, but your product was under $10 and your profit margin is like five, you'd have to sell so much more. And you'd have to practically go viral to make money off your back end business if your product is low margin. So someone can have a small YouTube channel, but have a captured audience of I'm the only people catering to people with this problem that have a lot of money. And those, I'll give you a prime example. Right now, the AI craze is going on with all this Claude bot stuff and Moltbot. Think about it like this: do you think that the people doing agentic AI and that have the money to go out and like buy a bunch of Mac Minis and a server rack, like the people doing that, don't you think, Andrew, that they will literally pay for either a consult or someone to do a remote install for them? And if someone said, "Hey, I will literally do a remote install for you, and I will set up Claude Bot on your three Mac Mini servers. Pay me 2,000 today, and we'll do it." Or
Yeah.
or oh, I'll even literally come to you and I'll do the setup or whatever. That person is like going to make more bank with a small audience than some gamer bro going viral, right? Very
Yeah.
easily, because he has people he can sell that service to for 2,000, 5,000, because he has an affluent audience that just spent 3,000, $5,000 buying a tower of Mac Minis to build his AI agent farm.
No, it's very true. And another thing, when you were talking about like differences in what people are willing to pay, they also forget advertisers have differences in what they want to pay. They look at the metrics that matter to them. You know, we're talking about a lot of these metrics that matter. So advertisers absolutely look at those metrics, and they've learned through, again, YouTube is a 20-year-old platform coming to 21 here, and they know what has historically worked, and they'll look at that. Another thing is, to answer your question in like, what do you need to make money? Technically, you don't need these stats to make money on affiliate programs or to make sales, as Roberto was saying. But if you're trying to get into the partner program, the stats are you need 500 subscribers, 3 valid public uploads, and either 3,000 valid public watch hours or 3 million valid public shorts views for just entry level monetization. That's another change people forget, is that YouTube has actually lowered the ability to make some money with that change. And then for the full monetization, it requires 1,000 subscribers and either 10 million public valid shorts views or 4,000 valid public watch hours. So those
Yep.
are
And
just
it's
some of those
also,
quick
yeah.
metrics.
And it's easier to get than ever. I've had people with the short splits be able to get the short form monetization relatively quickly by doing the short splits, especially if they upload 5 to 8 shorts per day, every day, never miss. They get it. They get it in 30 to 90 days. They just straight up do. And for people who want to go for, well, I kind of would prefer long form, or, oh, I'm not getting the shorts views. I've had people just go vertical live streaming every day until you're monetized. And that's
Wow.
worked for people. And instead of it taking 12 months, because the other thing was you have 12 months to get the 4,000 watch hours, and it's a daily rollover, not a yearly rollover on the reset. It's daily. So it's basically for 4,000 watch hours in 365 days. I broke it down, Andrew, to where you need, if you're going to do it in like 12 months, you'd need 12 hours a day of
Hmm.
watch time to do that. You can accelerate that very easily by doing vertical live streams and getting people to watch and do vertical live streams. So you go live for an hour or 90 minutes, replays count, and people can
Yes.
watch replays of the live streams and you can promote the replays. But if you could sit there and you could get 30, 50 people to watch you for an hour or 90 minutes, then you cut it down to where you're going to get the monetization in like 6 months of doing that. If you,
Yeah.
excuse me, build up an audience and you're reaching more people, plus you're getting some replay value, like, okay, if you can get 20 to 40 people to watch you every single day, like let's say Andrew, you were getting 40 people to watch you for an hour a day every day. That's 40 hours a day. Just on the Monday to Friday, you've accumulated now 200. of your
Mhm.
overall watch hours on a Monday through Friday. Let's say your schedule is Monday through Friday, you take the weekends off from the live streaming. That means in a month, you're going to have close to the 1,000 out of the 4,000 hours right then and there. And we're not even counting replay value.
Yeah,
That's all
and you
you have to
should
do is
plan
get
for
a
replay
couple of people.
value,
Yeah,
by the way.
exactly. So like it's more likely then that you're going to get closer to 1.5 or 2,000 watch hours within a month of just doing those vertical live streams. What if someone was a lunatic and they say, I'll do a morning and I'll do an evening version of the vertical live streams? Well, now you just cut the time and turn around in half even more. So it's not unusual for people doing the vertical live streams to get monetized on the watch hours in 30 to 90 days.
And, I think when it comes to the different options, we're focusing on shorts, but ultimately there's a lot of different ways. This came to a money question on how you can earn those different metrics. We have a question that is more of a strategy question, but it kind of goes into a question that, we talked about some old YouTube advice. And some of the old YouTube advice is you should probably consider adding shorts to a different channel. This question comes from Ryan, and he goes, completely different question. What's your take on using long form and that's for and short form
And
when launching a channel at the same time for a strategy?
it actually can be incredibly powerful if you do it right, especially if your goal is to get monetized. So if I wanted to get monetized on a completely fresh channel, I might use shorts and use short splits to grow the subscribership of the channel as fast as possible and have that audience. And then I'd be using the short splits and I'd be linking, even if I'm doing long form, I'd be linking all of my shorts to like one long form video that has proven to do really well with new viewers, and I
Mhm.
would use that. It wouldn't be a channel trailer or nothing. It'd be just a solid piece of like content that had the same subject matter. And I would like get people in the door to that. So I'd link 50 to 200 of my shorts doing that. If I'm doing short splits, I'm doing like 8 shorts a day, 5 shorts a day, something like that. That means I'm doing between 35 and 56 shorts a week. So that means that I'm doing 130 to 200 shorts a month, 220 shorts a month. That's the right amount to literally point at just even one long form that I made in that month. I'm not saying you only have to make one long form that month, but it's like, okay, I could just pick one of my best long forms if I'm doing one a week. I just pick the one that matters, maybe the one that's the outlier, maybe the one that's doing better than the others, point everyone to that,
Hmm.
and use that to get people interested in my long form. So I'm doing that. I would probably, since I'm already growing a shorts audience, I can use the vertical feed because shorts and live streams both play in the vertical feed. I can use the
Sure.
vertical feed. I could probably do a Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday streaming type schedule if my schedule allows. Interact and engage with the community I'm building, reach new people because the live streams and verticals reach new people all the time. I see people in the vertical feed that I never saw or never wanted to see all the time. And so if you're building a vertical feed audience already with shorts, your vertical live streams will reach those people. If they subscribed, they will ironically get the notifications more. And then you're building up the watch hours. So, oh, the shorts give me the subscribers, the verticals give me the watch hours. The long form means that when I get monetized, if they're evergreen long form, maybe I'm starting with videos that I will be able to get paid for on the back catalog. All those shorts from the short split strategy, what people don't realize is when you're making all these aggressive short split, the short split strategy, like I said, that it could be anywhere, let's round it down. It would be somewhere between at 5 to 8 shorts a day, it'd be between um, 35 to 56 shorts a week, like we were saying, which basically gets you to, if we round it out, to about 120 to 220 shorts a month, right? Let's round
Hmm.
that down to 100 and 200, Andrew. So if every month, if you're trying to get monetized in 90 days, and in 90 days, because you, which is 3 months basically, because you made 100, 200 shorts a month, you would have an inventory of between 300 to 600 shorts, right?
Yeah.
If you have an inventory of 300 to 600 shorts and then you hit monetization, if all of those shorts were evergreen, now you have all this content that's out there, could still be getting views, and you're going to make money off of that because you're monetized, right? If you were uploading 1 to 2 long forms a week, let's just say it's 1 to 2 long forms a week. Well, in that 12 weeks, just doing off of the simple math, you now either have 12 long form videos or you have 24 long form videos. If they're evergreen, you can be paid off of all of them.
Sure.
If you were doing the live streams on a regular basis 3 to 5 times a week, okay, you have dozens of those now that could still be in your back catalog, still making money, still making money. And if you did them using the option for dual streaming for vertical and horizontal, then oh yeah, you can make money regardless of which experience people prefer on the replays of those once you're monetized. So what people don't understand is one of the reasons to go heavy on quantity when you're trying to start and to do all these formats potentially is depending on how you approach it. And it can seem like a lot, or I'm asking a lot. This is an extreme case, but I'm just painting a picture for people of think about it. If you build a system for each format that can fit with your lifestyle, and maybe you don't go to these extremes. I have smaller versions of this. A short splits can be 1 to 3 videos a day, or it
Yeah.
can be 1 to 3 videos on a Monday through Friday basis. It's faster to get to the numbers for monetization and all these things the more you do because it's more outputs. It trains YouTube sooner. It fits an audience that may be starving for content and a person they've never seen before a lot faster. So there's just all these potential advantages, but also you'll learn how to do everything if you just do more of it more quickly. You'll learn, you'll grow, you'll get 1% better with every execution, right? So if you just run the math on this, the math is where I like come down to, okay, this is the way to get monetized fast. And then the other benefit is the back catalog still makes money for you in the future.
Sure.
Like I make money off videos from 3 years ago right now. So you could do that. And that would be things that give you every growth advantage. You leave nothing on the table. Let's say your life doesn't work quite that way
Hmm.
and you had to pick. If you don't know how to edit, I would probably go with the streaming and shorts if editing is your weakness and if thumbnails are your weakness. If you know that you're bad at editing and you're bad at thumbnails, for the thumbnails, I'd use 1 of 10 to kind of get past it and get like 4 out of 5 to 3 out of 5 thumbnails instantly if you just know you're bad at it. So that would help. I would use Opus to help with the overcome the video editing because now with doing short form, oh, you'd have the animated text, you'd have these features, you have the potential AI roll, you can do the voice cleanup, and you don't have to ever become an audio engineer. So if you suck at
You could
editing,
use Agent Opus for some motion graphics.
exactly. So like Opus will overcome the oh, I suck at editing thing. So you have that in your favor. You have 1 of 10 to overcome the oh, I'm bad at thumbnails if you were going to do long form. If you're going to do shorts and streaming for the vertical side, I'd use Opus for my shorts. I'd do the streaming in vertical, probably using StreamYard. And then you could also just use your phone, but I'd probably just use StreamYard. I'd auto import to Opus, clip those things up, and go streaming to shorts and make my life very simple. I would sit there and do the streams for 1 hour to 90 minutes a day, then spend maybe 30 minutes in Opus doing my clipping, not even needing to do it every day, by the way, to do that. And then I would have daily shorts, daily streams, or Monday through Friday shorts and streams. And you'd be monetized within 30 to 90 days. Pretty straightforward. Then, if you want to introduce long form, knowing that you'll make money off of the long form videos, then you could do that. And now you already still have a streaming and shorts pipeline and a way to do it that's taking you what, 1 to 2 hours a day. And then, if you wanted to do the long form, I would probably do your long form on your day off or your weekend and put more effort into it and start with 1 video a week, get consistent, refine, figure things out, try to get to 1 to 2 a week, and then you got that going on. Now you're in all formats and you've made life easy.
I also think, when we talk about going back to it, so should they be doing long form and shorts at the same time? I think the simple answer, based on what I'm hearing there, is if you can keep it focused and you can keep the same audience, then the answer is yes.
I also would say the what I think people are looking for is there a penalty or is YouTube going to punish me for doing it? And the answer is no.
There you go.
And
I do
I've
have a
proven it. I've done it with my clients. I've done it with my clients. I've done it in the worst niche you could do it in, which is gaming.
I had a question, and this comes from knowing you for a long time. And Roberto, you famously have said make 100 crappy videos. Does
Yeah,
that include shorts?
that's closer to make 500 to 1,000 crappy videos.
Okay. So now, in that case, So you're talking about make 100 crappy long form videos and make 500 to 1,000 shorts, or can you do them at the
Yes.
same time? I'm just this is me knowing
Well, it's
Roberto, just a
it's an
genuine
either or.
question.
It's an either or, but it's an either or both. You can do either or
Hmm.
you can do both because it depends on how you approach it.
Sure.
So, all right, if you're a thought leader educator, there's actually not a difference because if you're a thought leader educator, the way I would do it is I'd make education talking head content, but then do it conversationally, which is what you're going to see me doing a lot more this year of edit less, film more, edit less, film more, but
Yep.
then go real, raw, and carry it through performance the way I do as a stage performer who does public speaking. So, because I have no edits when I'm on stage, so I would just perform everything like it's a stage performance. Like if you got the money, literally go downtown or go to your local hotel, go and rent the event space, event hall, if you really want to, sell tickets as an educator and give a live workshop, film it, and then have somebody combine the footage if you want multicam or whatever, cut it up, and then deliver the thing as a live performance. Cut that up into segments and get thumbnails for them with like 1 of 10, package them, have video on demand. Because you know who does this? It's my friend Christo, who has like
Mm.
over 2 million subs. Like, so, okay, you perform, you do this. If you want to do high level education and you have the chops, you had the money, or you had a lecture hall, you're a teacher who they let film their lectures, you would just do this. And then you would have the ability to package multiple individual YouTube videos plus a long, huge mega video of the complete event and lecture, and then you'd be able to have that, and then you'd still be able to cut your sound bites and segments and mic drops as YouTube Shorts. You'd have everything, and it's just the one performance, and the one performance probably gives you five um, 12 to 20-minute video episodes off of one performance up on stage for 60 to 90 minutes, giving a lecture and going back and forth or giving a workshop for 2 hours that you got paid for by selling tickets to the lecture workshop. So if
True.
you have a real world business, you have a real world business, you're an entrepreneur, you're a thought leader, you're an educator, you're a professor, you're a former educator or teacher, you can literally just get people to pay for all of your production and filming cost in your venue by coming to a workshop, charge them for a paid workshop. You get the content, you literally get to chop it up, monetize it, have this high end content that people can't compete with. And it gives you a mega video, it gives you 12 to 20-minute segment VODs on YouTube as videos, and it gives you short form. And you can take the big lecture and you can premiere it. So you also get the benefit of like a live stream without going live at the same time. And so then you'd have all these formats, right? So that's one way that someone as an educator can film more, do less, and get more content. And think about it from that, Andrew, getting to so called 100 crappy videos literally is you get that from giving a workshop even every
Yep.
other week because you're getting, with doing a workshop every other week, you're getting like somewhere between 5 and 10 long form videos out of that,
Very true.
and you're getting 50 to 100 short form videos out of that, not counting the Q&A. That gets you to like 100 every time. So then like you're cranking out all this content, you have this masterful like thing. Okay, well, what about an entertainer, Roberto? If you're a gamer, it's even easier. You're a gamer, you can live stream your game every day, 90 minutes, and then have Opus cut it up for you. And now you've got the short form. You could also cut up VODs if you want long form out of it and repackage some of it, contextualize it, whatever. Or you could even if you don't want to cut the VODs from Opus, you could take your footage of your gameplay plus your recording with your camera, and then you could do the real editing if you want to feel like a real YouTuber, and you could do that. You'd have the footage. You could go ahead and go, okay, I will live stream every day or Monday through Friday. Boom. I've got 8 shorts coming out every day, period, from that, from my highlights, post that across all platforms using Opus. You're growing everything. This is what I do with my gaming clients. And I've also moved to the education piece with other public speakers, people building personal brands. Now, the new personal brand formula is you film all your events, all your workshops, and then you make content. Um, and so as a gamer in the entertainment space, oh, this is even easier. You stream your gameplay, you chop it up, you have the highlights, you post to every platform. You can still make VODs and edit and feel like a real YouTuber. And then you've got all formats working for you. And you're absolutely killing it. Getting to 1,000 shorts is nothing when you're doing that. You'll get to it in like 90 days or something, like probably. Um, because well, close to 9 days, probably about 120 days,
And
120 days. And
if I
yeah,
may, If you're not a public speaker, you should just start recording to the camera. You can use Opus to literally grade your performance. Look at for the moments that you may have thought, I said something, maybe it was good. It'll help give you that thing. I asked Roberto this question because if you are brand new and you don't know Roberto Blake, you should follow him for sure. But Roberto has famously said the phrase, you should make 100 crappy videos. So I, knowing him for what, over a decade now, have just was always curious because with shorts in the mix, what is the difference? And you know, the
10x.
difference well,
Yeah.
that's what I figured, but it was good to get an answer to my own curiosity. But if you're curious to learn more from Roberto, where can people find you?
They can find me at Roberto Blake everywhere. You can find me at Awesome Creator Academy if you want to work with me in either our Awesome Creator Academy Pro group or do one-on-one coaching with me. So you have those options. I'm everywhere on YouTube at Roberto Blake, on X at Roberto Blake, Instagram. So you can follow me over there. And yeah, you can find me every weekend here on the Opus Clip channel for as long as they want to have me.
And you can find me here as well. Roberto, thank you so much. I think we've talked a lot about the metrics that matter. And the most important metric that matters of all is that you keep creating content. All of this can only work if you're keeping up at it. And Roberto, we have so many more amazing topics to cover, and we will talk to you all very soon. Take care, everyone.